Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. What I'd like to do is show you how to use long division to divide two polynomials. And so basically in this one, what we're going to do is, just like in my previous video, we're going to apply the long division algorithm. So we're going to want to set it up. But a couple of these problems, there's a couple things that you notice. Whenever we're doing that, the first thing we always want to do is make sure it's in descending order. And you can see in this first problem, we have everything in descending order. But the issue comes in when putting it in descending order, you see we kind of missing a spot, right? We're missing x cubed. We're also missing our constant at the end. So when I rewrite this in my quotient, you don't have to do this, but I think it's very helpful when doing long division, when you're first learning how to do it, to fill those in with our variables. So if I was going to rewrite this as the division quotient, I would rewrite this as x minus 4 divides into 4x to the fourth. If I don't have a cubed, I'm going to rewrite that as a plus 0x cubed, because 0 times x cubed is 0. So this is really just going to be a placeholder for the 0x cubed. But it does become helpful when you're looking into subtracting your rows. And then that's minus 4x squared plus 6x, and then I'll add 0 again. Because remember when we bring down the rows, a lot of times it's helpful to see, well, where did those zeros come from? And basically you can see now we have a polynomial in descending order from largest degree all the way down to 0. OK, so now let's go ahead and apply our long division algorithm. So I take x divided into 4x to the fourth, and I get 4x cubed. Then I multiply 4x cubed times x, which gives me 4x to the fourth. And then 4x cubed times negative 4, which gives me a negative 16x to the cubed. Then again, I'll put them in parentheses and subtract. 4x to the fourth minus 4x to the fourth is 0. 0x cubed minus negative 16x cubed. And therefore, you can kind of see that, oh, OK, so it's 0x cubed minus a negative. That's going to give me a positive 16x cubed. Then bring down the rest of what you have. 4x squared plus 6x plus 0. Now again, we apply this again. X divides into 16x cubed. That's going to be a positive 16x squared. X squared, or 16x squared times x is going to give me 16x cubed. And 16x squared times negative 4 is going to give me a negative 64x squared. Again, put them in parentheses and subtract. So subtract your whole rows. Basically, I don't have anything here, so I can just bring them down. 16x cubed times 16x cubed is just going to be 0. Negative 4x minus a negative, again, double negative makes that positive, is going to give me a 60x squared. Again, keep on working. Always dividing with our x. X divides into 60x squared. That's going to give me a positive 60x. 60x times 60x is going to give me a 60x squared. And 60x times negative 4 is 120, give me negative 240. I got lazy. I forgot to bring these down. Not really bringing them down, but I'm actually subtracting them from 0. So that's a plus. OK, so then I put in parentheses, and I subtract. 60x squared divided by 60x squared, or subtracting by 60x squared, is going to give me 0x squared. 6x minus a negative 246 is going to give me a positive 200. Oops, that's x, right? 60x times x, that's x. Is going to give me positive 246x. And then I bring down the 0. OK, and then we'll do the last one. X divides into 246 plus 246 times, positive 246 times. 246 times x is going to be a 246. 246 times negative 4. I'm going to have to go back and use my calculator. It's 246 times 4, right? 984. And that's going to be a negative 984. Put in parentheses and subtract. What you can see here is, again, when I do 246x minus 246, that should be an x. 246 times x is 246x. Subtract those, that gives you 0. And then 0 minus a negative 984 is going to give you a positive 984, which is going to be our remainder. Again, to take our remainder, we can simply just add it to our quotient and just say our remainder of 984 divided by our divisor, which is x minus 4. So that's what we do with our divider. So therefore, our divisor does not evenly divide into our dividend. But that at least is the step-by-step process that you're going to want to take. OK. So in our next example, you can see we have a lot of missing terms, right? So this one's going to be pretty fun just to kind of go through this. And again, we always start with our largest degree first and then go down in descending order. So to rewrite this as our rewrite this in our long division algorithm, I'm going to have x minus 3 divided by x to the 4th. And then I don't have anything else. Oh, I have negative 81. Then I don't have a cube, so I'm going to do plus 0x cubed. I don't have a squared, so I'm going to play plus 0x squared. I don't have a linear, which would be 0x. And then I have minus 81. OK? So it's really helpful. It's not necessary, but it's really helpful, I think, to kind of go through all of those. So now we just go ahead and follow our process. X goes into x to the 4th, x cubed times. X cubed times x is going to be x to the 4th. Let's use a different. What was that? Yeah, OK. X to the 4th. X cubed times negative 3x is going to be a negative 3x cubed. Parentheses, subtract. When I go and subtract here, I get 0, 0x to the 4th. 0x cubed minus 3x cubed, which would be a positive 3. So minus a negative is going to give me a positive 3x cubed. X divides into 3x cubed. X divides into 3x cubed, a positive x squared plus x squared. X squared times, oops, a positive 3x squared. Right? 1 divides into a positive 3x squared. 3x squared times x is going to give me a 3x squared. 3x squared times negative 3 is going to give me a negative 9x squared. I should have brought these down. OK. Again, we go ahead and subtract. Make sure you put in parentheses. 3x cubed. Whoa. Ow. 3x squared times x is a 3x cubed. Got to be very careful with this. OK, 3x cubed times 3x cubed is going to give me 0x cubed. X squared minus a negative is going to give me a positive 9x squared. X divides into 9x squared, a positive 9x. 9x times 9 is going to, 9x times 9 is going to give me a 9x squared. 9x times x. 9x times x gives me 9x squared. 9x times negative 3 is going to give me a negative 27x. Make sure you have these always brought down. OK, then again, I put in parentheses and I subtract. 9x squared minus 9x squared is 0. 0 minus a negative 27x is going to give me a positive 27x. So therefore, I say x divides into 27x, a positive 27 times. And 27 times x is 27x. 27 times negative 3 is going to be negative 354. It's going to be a negative 81. Negative 81. So minus 81. Bring down this negative 81 and subtract. Negative 81 minus another negative 81 is going to give me a remainder of 0. So therefore, since we have a remainder of 0, we can say that this polynomial evenly divides into our dividend. OK? All right. So now let's go into look into one that is a little bit different. And the reason why this one's a little bit different is because you can see that I do not have my dividend or my divisor in standard form. We always got to write them with the largest power first, going down in descending order. I also now have a divisor that is a trinomial instead of a typical binomial that we've been working with. But that's OK. Again, whenever we're doing our dividing, we're only dividing by the first term, right? But then it's just important, whatever our quotient is, we multiply it by all the terms in our divisor. So let's go and set this up using our long division algorithm. So therefore, I'll have x squared plus x minus 2 divides into, let's see, x to the fourth plus 2x cubed minus 4x squared minus 5x minus 6. So in this case, I don't have any missing terms. I just kind of made it difficult. I just kind of tried to trick you a little bit by having them rewritten in the wrong way. So now, again, here is our main term that we're going to be dividing by. So I have x squared divides into x to the fourth. That only divides in there x squared times. Now, instead of multiplying by both terms in the binomial, now I multiply by all the terms in the trinomial. So x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X squared times x is going to be a positive x cubed. X squared times negative 2. X squared times negative 2 is going to be a negative 2x squared. Okay, again, put in parentheses and then subtract. Okay, x squared minus x squared is going to be 0. 2x cubed minus x cubed is going to be just a simple x cubed. And negative 4x minus a negative 2x, that's going to be a double negative, which will be a positive. So it would be negative 4x plus 2x, which would be a negative 2x squared. Bring down, subtract. These are basically being subtracted from zeros. So you bring them down, so that becomes a negative 5x and negative 6. OK, now again, we just divide by x squared. X squared divides into x cubed. X times x squared. X times x squared is going to give you x cubed. X times x is a positive x squared. X times negative 2 is going to be a negative 2x. Again, put in parentheses and then subtract. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. Negative 2x squared minus x squared is going to give me a negative 3x squared. Negative 5x minus a negative 2x, that's going to be a double negative, so it's going to be plus, so that would be a minus 3x. And then I can bring down my negative 6. Then I take x squared, divides into negative 3x. How many times does x squared divide into negative 3x? That divides into there a negative 3 times. Negative 3 times x squared is going to give you a negative 3x squared. X squared, oh, sorry, negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. I don't remember that one having, did I not check that one? I was thinking I had only so many. Negative 6. X squared plus x. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this minus 12. Oh. OK, all right, I was right. I don't remember looking at this answer. All right, so now I go ahead and subtract them. And when you go ahead and subtract, you get negative 3x minus a negative, that goes to 0. Negative 3x minus a negative 3x, that goes to 0. And negative 6 minus 6 is going to give you a negative 6 minus 6 is going to give you a negative 12, which is your remainder. So again, we need to take our remainder and write it as plus our remainder, negative 12, divided by our divisor, which is x squared plus x minus 2. So far we've had 2 of them with with remainders. Remember, just take your remainder and add it to your quotient. And then we've had 1 that's been an even remainder. So let's go and try to get to this last one here real quick. Again, in this one, they're in descending order. We just need to rewrite it in our division quotient. So I'll write 3x squared plus 1. I'll try to move through this one a little bit quicker. 18x to the fourth plus 9x cubed plus 3x squared. OK, I'll actually retire the black marker, and let's just finish the rest of it like this. So 3x squared divides into 18x. That becomes 6x squared. 6x times 3x is going to be an 18x to the fourth. 6x squared times 1 becomes, OK, 6x squared times 1 becomes a 6x squared. Now notice here, oops, and I forgot to mention, we're missing an x, right? We're missing the x and we're missing the 0. I was going too fast. 0x plus 0. Make sure we don't forget those terms. So when I multiply 6x times 1, the next term would be a cubed, but we don't have one. So I'm just going to put it under the squared. That's OK, as long as you just use parentheses and then subtract. So 18x to the fourth minus 18x to the fourth is going to give you 0. 9x cubed, that just goes down. You're basically subtracting 0 from that, so that just comes down to 9x cubed. 3x squared minus 6x squared is going to give you a negative 3x squared. And then we just bring down our 0x and our 0. Now we do it again. 3x squared divides into 9x squared, a positive 3x times. 3x times 3x squared is going to give you a 9x cubed. And then 3x times 1 gives you a positive 3x. Again, we have to skip the squared. So I do plus 3x. So it's aligned under the x. Put them in parentheses, and then subtract. When I go and subtract here, that goes to 0. This brings down negative 3x squared. 0x minus 3x is a negative 3x, and then bring down the 0. 3x squared divides into negative 3x squared minus 1. Negative 1 times 3x squared is a negative 3x squared. Negative 1 times 1 is going to be a negative 1. Again, put them in parentheses and then subtract. Negative 3x squared minus 3x squared goes to 0. I bring down my negative 3x, and then 0 minus a negative 1 is plus 1. So now I have a binomial as my remainder, which is perfectly OK. So now I'm going to take my remainder, which is a binomial, which would be negative 3x plus 1, and I'm going to rewrite it over my divisor, which is 3x squared plus 1. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you use long division to divide two polynomials. Thanks.